We understand that the emotional connection to our customers is also key.
Hello and welcome back to PS.Be Bold and Fear podcast. And today, in conversation with Promise, who is from Ghana, we are going to discuss the importance of brand identity. So, before we dive deep into the subject, let's first welcome Promise. So, hi, Promise, how are you doing today?
Hello, good morning. I'm doing fine, and you?
I'm very good and I'm really excited about today's podcast because today we are going to discuss about brand identity. And
Mm,
as you come from a design background, you are a graphic designer, and
yes.
I studied designing in my college days. So I'm really excited about this conversation. So before we understand why brand identity is important and what are the other aspects that we normal people don't know about, only the designer's eye can understand, and that's how you perform your professional duties when it comes to the building the brand identity for different organizations and for people, personal branding, professional branding. uh, Before that, I want to know what is the social climate when it comes to the design aspect in your country, and how do people perceive the whole visual art?
My name is Promise Kofi Fudzenu. That's my full name, and then I'm a graphic designer and a social entrepreneur as well, actually. So I also own a studio, and a graphic design studio called the Formal Studio. So I've been in the industry for, I'm practicing this for the past 5 years. And I've had a passion for design for so many years now. Because where we live in Ghana, my community actually have a problem of stereotyping people who actually want to venture into graphic design, and then that's back to the senior high school when you go to school and you want to study visual arts and all those things. So they believe that people with the science and or the business background are actually more beneficial or have a value compared to graphic design student. So I've had this a problem back in SHS, but I believe that uh, when you have your mind to something that you want to do something and you want to solve a problem and the journey to that, you're going to encounter all these things. So they're all parts of the journey. So yeah. So at a point, I actually diverted from graphic visual art background to general art background, not because of what people are saying, but because I have to change school. And the changing school, my new school actually doesn't have the visual art. But when I finish that course, I actually make sure that I continue with my visual art background in the uni. So for the 4 years in my uni, I actually did detail in graphic design. Yeah. So from there, my career actually started from there. Even at the time I was in uni, my career started from there actually. So I actually uh, kind of very adventurous. So I will go out and then do a lot of design for people. But then at the early age, you know that there's going to be a problem where people are not going to appreciate your work that much. But that actually did not discourage me. Actually, I actually found it very comfortable uh, in the first and the second year that I realized that people are actually not that they are talking about my design, but they see potential that the problem that I'm going to solve with my designs and all those things. So that got me that I have to divert from the design to entrepreneurship. So if I understand the problem of my community, then it becomes very easy for me to interpret that particular problems into solutions using my design background. Yes, so that's what I do, and the journey has not been easy because of how our people see design people. I mean, designers in Ghana. And up to now, a few of them appreciate our work, but the majority of them still don't understand what we do. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, First pointer that I would like to highlight is that India, it is no such difference. When it comes to the
Mm,
designing aspect, it is very similar. People consider the commerce and the science background to be the most auspicious, righteous. So
exactly.
people don't take our designing seriously. They think that it's
Exactly.
for fun. So I think this conversation is very important for both of us to create that
Yes.
awareness of visual art and why it is important. So my
Mm.
first question to you is very simple. What is visual arts for general people to
Well,
understand?
if you say visual art, but it's basically what you see. What you're wearing is, you can say, is visual art. So anything that you put, anything that you see, that actually, uh, you can actually grab a meaning from whatever you see around you. I mean, your art at the background also has a meaning to it, and and the artist that paints that particular artwork has a reason why he actually did that. So until we understand that everything that we use today, everything that we live in, everything that we see around us, we see them as a visual thing that we have to consider. Then the earlier for us, because even as science people that actually see themselves as the most important people, they most often rely on us. And then if we don't bring those things to life, they can use it. Science, they are good with what they do, but it comes to a point that we have to bring their equipment that they use to life so that they can use it in physical in real life, and that is visual art for you. And visual art actually cut across a lot of things that we do, and then uh, just all the touch points that in our life. So that's what I see. I won't sit here and then quote a particular definition for visual art, which I will not understand because they also have their own perception of what visual is all about. And then for the years that I've come to understand visual art, I believe that anything around us that make meaning to us is visual art.
Hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah. Actually, because yes, all the fields that we have known over the years and the new fields which are arriving, we need to make sense of the reality that we are living into. So we have a lot of number punching in, a lot of research, lot of technical aspects, but how do we
Mm,
make sense of it? And I what in my sense, that's where we come into the picture as a designer, as a visual artist. So you have
exactly.
said it completely right. I totally agree to that.
Mm,
So what why it is important for people to have a visual art in when it comes to their branding, and when it comes to their representation of the work that they are doing, and how are you helping entrepreneurs in general from your country of Ghana to build that?
okay. Um, this part of Ghana, I mean, okay, let me just use the Ghana as a whole, because research shows that uh, a little on very, very few number of people actually understand what entrepreneurship is. And you understanding what entrepreneurship is, and then you are trying to solve a problem, and problem you are trying to solve is actually based on a business or non-profit organization and all those things. So before those things can come to implementation, you have to understand that there's going to be visual aspect of it, and there's going to be the time that you have to consider that identity is very important. That before you can go further and stay relevant in the business, and so to my understanding, we have encounter with business owners. I mean, the entrepreneurs who are trying to solve a problem, but they only focus on just the problem. And when you're focusing on the problem, solving the problem, actually, I believe that you're missing a lot of things out. So if you want to solve a problem, you have to do a lot of research. I mean, understand that at the point you have to involve professionals and the people that really going to interpret your solution to life. And then this is where we come in. Okay. And then, but most often over here, people believe that, okay, I have the money and I have the human resource. So what I have to do is just employ them and then buy the equipment or whatever it is for me to start solving that problem. That's a very big mess up.
Hmm.
But then, if you want to stay relevant, like the big players in the game, then you have to also invest in professionals and the people that can actually interpret, so that people will understand that okay, this is what you want to solve, and this is what relevant the thing is. So personally, I've experienced a situation where entrepreneurs, the young entrepreneurs actually want to start business, are actually just looking for just a logo. I mean, just yeah, we begin to understand that they have actually little or no understanding when it comes to the visual representative of the idea they want to present to the world. So when you try to educate them, bring them to the life sports, but then only few of them will comply, and most of them will play the hard way, will eventually come back to you and asking for your understanding and then a way out for you to help them solve the problem. So you see, being an entrepreneur is actually a different thing, and being a graphic designer also as a seen as a different thing. But then the two of them come together to solve a problem better. So you see that I earlier mentioned that I had a graphic design background, but I realized that no, the problem I want to solve, I have to switch to entrepreneurship as well, so that when I'm going to solve a problem, I know how to blend the two of them and solve the problem better. Do you get it?
Yeah.
Yes. So that's how I see it, and it's very unfortunate that still up to now there are some lot of businesses in Ghana actually struggling to understand the benefits of professional graphic designing to help them uh, bring their visions to life and stay relevant in the market. It's very unfortunate, you see. So we actually pushing our work, and we actually hoping that they will come that they will understand our relevance, and then we are also going to help them grow in the business, just like any other business that we've helped over the years, actually. So that's how I see it.
Hmm. So, can you help us understand for young people, young entrepreneurs who
Mm.
don't have any understanding when it comes to the designing aspect of it, what is it that they need to know before they approach
Mm.
anyone? Because the go-to mindset is that I just need a logo. That's it. But
Exactly.
that is not the end goal. It is much more than that. But people have no idea. They don't have the vocabulary or understanding. So, can you walk
Mm.
us through the journey?
Okay. You see, the funny thing is that, like I mentioned earlier, they believe that they know the customers, they know their audience, and they know their client, the people that are going to purchase their services or the product. For them, they think they know them. But then, as a young entrepreneur who is trying to start a business and stay relevant in the business, it is very good to for you to understand your target audience. And doing that, you have to do research. How do you do research? You have to make sure that you understand the customer preferences, you understand their values, and you understand what they stand for. Do you get it? Until then, you cannot make any emotional connection. So you understand or become very easy to connect emotionally and resonate well with your customers. Do you see it? So for me, it is important for them to first understand their customers and then do research, and that way they can be able to stand for a very long time in the business. That's how I see it. And then I also understand that building a brand identity is also like the way we carry ourselves, the way we wake up early in the morning and bath, take our bath and dress up and present ourselves just like we want other people to see us that we are looking nice. You see, so when you come to identity, it is important for you to define your brand personality.
Hmm.
How do you want people to see your brand out there? And how do you want people to understand that this is what you offer, or this is what you serve as a business owner, and then your voice and then the style of whatever you do should be consistent. You see that? Yes. So there's no way you understand what you are doing and keep repeating certain things which you think that you've done before, and then it becomes very difficult for you to get away from that. No, that's not how this will work. And then it's very important for us to also craft a story. You see, most of the product that we see out there today are actually not. We are not buying the product. We are buying the story behind the product.
Yeah.
You're using microphone right now. And I believe that there's a reason why you're using the microphone. Do you
Mm.
see?
Mm.
And that you didn't just go to the market to buy a microphone. If that is the situation, you could have actually uh, gotten any brand of microphone at all in the market. But then there's a particular one that you want to buy, and if you go to the market, you don't see it. You have to wait until that product is in the market.
Yeah.
Why that? Because the brand has crafted a very compelling story, a story that you believe that will resonate with you, and then when you are using when you're using that particular microphone, it becomes very easy for you to just go and then flow the way you want without thinking about any glitches or any other technical issue that will come with it. Do you understand that? Yeah, so that is why we have to understand that crafting a story, a compelling story, I mean, all this things also play a very important role when it comes to uh, brand identity as an entrepreneur. Yes. So these are the things that you have to consider. Just like I said, I mentioned earlier on, staying consistent across all touch points is also very important.
Mm.
And I believe that business owners, the big players in the game, actually stay true to these particular techniques. That's why we believe them. That's why it is very easy for us to trust them. Do you
Mm.
see that? Then so you can come to your touch point, I mean your social media platform, and talk about this. Tomorrow you believe from what you're talking about. Do you see that? So it becomes very, very difficult for the customers to trust and build that kind of credibility for your business. Yes. So that's why it's very important for us to stay consistent, whatever we do.
Mm.
That's also very important that we have to consider as a young entrepreneur who want to start a business. And then just like I said, when all these things are considered, now building the trust among your customers becomes very easy. And now they don't have to think twice before going to buy your product or any or, or I mean getting service from your business. These are the secrets behind everything that we do and everything that we have to consider as a young entrepreneur. Because the bigger players in the game actually understand this, so they invest a lot of money and they invest a lot of resources in making sure that these things are done properly.
Mm.
Yeah, that is why today, whatever product that we use, as particularly the Apple, you understand that it becomes very, very, very difficult for the other tech companies to compete with Apple
Mm.
today. But because over the year they understand that for their customers to trust them and then buy their product at any premium price that they will charge, they have to invest in identity. They have
Mm.
to invest in their branding aspect as well.
Mm.
So it took Apple a lot of years to get this, and but when they got this, it became very, very, very important. It became very, very authentic that their customers actually love their product and they can buy it for any other reason apart
Mm.
from their core value that they have behind their product. People can buy Apple product today just because of the function, because people will see them as like they have the money and
Mm.
then they have what it takes to afford that.
Mm.
But that's actually not what Apple was trying to portray over
Mm.
the years. So the people that understand what Apple stands for actually understand that, see, they've invested a lot over the years for their customers to have the best. And then in doing that, then it becomes very easy for them to charge premium, any price at all, and we will buy it. Do you see it? So it becomes very, very, very important for us to understand that aspect of business. Until then, we will always remain where we are, and it becomes very difficult for us to expand our business actually. And then fast forward, we know that the technology actually is changing every day, and then the evolvement of technology and everything that we do today. And as a young entrepreneur who is trying to find solutions to problem, it's very, very difficult for you to stay up to date, and you should be able to adapt to whatever technology that's available today, and that's going to help you strive through a lot of challenges. So let's say that you are actually a small business owner uh, that provides a small service to a small group of people, and then you realize that for the past 5 years you're doing well, and you want to expand your business. It doesn't mean that you should change your core value or your mission for your business. But what it means is that you should try as much as possible to include whatever customers that you are going to attract later into your business, into your value, so that it will become very easy for you to implement these particular values, and then they can easily reach out to them, and they can also be able to purchase your product, and then uh, maintain and then retain as your customers. Do you get it? Yes. So these are actually the things that we have to consider. There are thousands and ones of them out there, but I believe that with the few that we said, it's become very easy for them to understand, and then for them to also go out there and look and research about the subject matter and better understand the whole situation. That way, it will actually put them in a position where if they want to contact a professional for their visual identities or the brand identity, they'll have to know what exactly they want, and they have to communicate well with the professionals. And that actually is going to help them if the professionals are going to advise them on certain things. Becomes easy on the part of the professional, because they know that what they are going to present or the customer is actually going to help them, so they are going to understand them from point. So the work become very easier. Situation where the customers or they will come, these young entrepreneurs will come and requesting for particular thing, leaving the other, not knowing that a logo it didn't complete. A logo will not actually complete what you say we talk about as a brand identity. Brand identity has a lot of elements that you have to consider. When you want to your brand to stand out there, you have to think about your color palette. You have to think about your messaging. You have to think about your typography, and these things are also considered. Sometimes when a brand come to you and these young entrepreneurs come to you seeking for um, describe their business as a luxury, and you actually propose to them a luxury typography, they'll be like, no, that is not nice. That I don't like that. I want something different. But what they want, when you go back to the drawing board and you realize that no, what they want that has nothing to do with what they're asking for, and most of them will not even allow you to uh, come up from your. I mean, it's becoming very challenging actually. So I will urge them that they have to understand that for this work to be done properly, and then for them to stay relevant in business, they have to collaborate with professionals and understand that the professionals will always give them the best advice, and not just anything that they will just pick out there and then give to their brand actually. And you see that a lot of business out there, their color choice and all those things are actually the reason why customers are not reaching out to them, but they don't know. How will you be running a security a company, and then you'll be using a color like brown, color like green, color like? I mean, it doesn't. You see, history for this security company and the color choice for them actually start from the blue and then the red, and each of these colors has a meaning. Even if you want to use green and all those colors, you must as well have a touch of this red or blue in there.
Hmm.
And this is where the choice of color becomes very critical for them, because they believe that okay, my dream is is to use green, is to use yellow, is to use. Yeah, I've had a lot of customers that will come to you and be saying that uh, me what do you call it? I've prayed over my business, and then I realized that no, the vision or whatever that I had said I should use yellow.
Hmm.
So the yellow is what I'm going to use. But when you research about yellow and then their description for their business, it doesn't match. So they have to understand that at a point in life, they just have to comply and understand the business aspect of the whole situation, rather than this kind of misconception and the stereotyping, the type of the idea that the designers will give them, all those things. So I believe when we all understand this, it becomes very easy for both of us. That's the same reason why I mentioned that, because when they come to me, I know their problem and I know how I can solve the problem. But then when you pitch the same solution to them, they feel like, what we want, that's not that's not understanding that you have. But you are seeing it from the business perspective, and that's how it should be. You see that?
Hmm.
Why do you think from the beginning Apple's first logo was very colorful,
Hmm. Hmm.
but today
Rainbow
it's
shades.
not like that. Exactly, because the first design was not actually communicating, was not resonating well with the customers. The customer does not feel that connection, even though the explanation to that color and all those things were very good and were very touching, but no, that does not resonate well with the tech fan. You
Yeah,
see,
it didn't stand its time over the
Mm,
decades. It couldn't. That's why
yeah,
the logo is the same, but the color is not.
exactly, exactly, exactly. So we have to understand that the professionals are here to help, and then their intention is to just make you scale up your business, and then get more profits and whatever you do, and that's our business. So when anytime you reach out to us, you just understand that we are here to provide you a solution. So, but that doesn't mean that whatever we give you should take it. What I'm saying is that you should reason with us and you should understand the point we are coming from. If you also understand the point you're coming from, it becomes very easy for us to implement and match the same ideas to what you have, and then give you the best out of it. Yes, that's it. So
Hmm.
that's what I was saying about that.
You reminded me of my designing days. I could remember all my pain points of the customer, and I'm like, okay, there's a very big difference between their personal choices and the kind of business that they want to establish,
Yeah.
and there is a
Mm.
very big gap. And I do see a point that people are only able to see their perspective in terms of selling. They forget they are not selling a product, they are buying the loyalty. There's a difference.
Mhm.
And how do you bridge
Yes.
that gap? And that is our responsibility as designers to bridge that gap, by using the psychology, understanding the personalities. And you gave the right example of Apple. It is very, very simple because Apple is a global brand. And
Mm.
yes, the color of the Apple logo couldn't stand the pressure of passing time of decades. It
Exactly.
changed. And when we see today, we represent because they have always projected and have told us a story of being creative, being enthusiastic, uh, visionaries. That's what we think when we think of an Apple. But when we think
Mm.
on IBM, because that was there one of the biggest competitors, when we think of
Yes.
IBM, it is like a very strict corporate job: black pant,
Mm.
white shirt, blue tie. That's what we
You
think.
see that?
Yeah, because yeah, and it is very important. That is the kind of language that we are trying to develop. So
Mm.
we have to see branding in long terms, not in the short term time frame, and
Exactly.
not only in the framework of selling products to generate revenue or traffic.
Yes.
We are telling a story, we are trying to solve a problem, and we are here for a long run. How to make uh, it last for decades to come. It is important to
Mm.
think in that tangent. Hmm. I am loving this conversation, by the way. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. I mean, it's something that we all experience every day, and um, uh, indirectly or directly, we have been affected somehow. But I believe that the time is coming that we have to accept and just take it like we are in business and we want to make profit. So we have to do everything possible to make profit.
yeah.
You see. So the same reason why many of these businesses fall out within the period of just 2 years in operation. You understand? So for them to just make this thing very important and very relevant in it for a very long time, you have to consider all these touch points. That's very, very important. Yes.
Hmm. So I want to know, what are the areas that Ghana as a country is missing out on when it comes to the designing aspect of it. What is the taste palette like over there?
When you say the areas, I mean, for me, I believe that they're missing out a lot.
Mm.
But the design industry in Ghana is very young, if you ask me, in the sense that uh, we are we are giving you a service, but if the people that we are giving service to do not understand what the service stands for, what they can get from the service that we offer, it becomes very difficult for us to uh, move and then implement the new technology or the new knowledge that we are trying to get each and every day. You see, when they accept us, it becomes very easy for us to implement these ideas and these new technologies and all those things to solve the problems that we have at hand today. So that's what I see. So until then, the industry in Ghana, the design industry in Ghana is very, very, very young. And many of them just believe that when they mention graphic designers, it's just like designing flyers. You design a flyer and that's it. Or you design a poster, that's it. No, but that's not the situation. I'm a professional graphic designer and I've had a degree in design actually. And I've had quite a lot of certificates in design and then marketing and entrepreneurship as well. So I will tell you that designing a flyer and all those things that they see us to be, just a it's not even up to 2% when it comes to graphic designers.
Mm.
Do you see? When you go to any professional graphic design schools, flyer designing a flyer is actually not the most important aspect of it. The most important aspect is the psychological or the psychology behind the use of certain things to achieve a particular result in design. And that's why all touch points across designing, like branding, mm, I'm going to say people can actually focus on the logo design. People can actually focus on the uh, like the flyer and all this I'm talking about right now. People can focus on that. Somebody can actually say no. Let me focus. Let me just blend this whole thing together, and then when you do that, it means that you are trying to understand every aspect of the design, and that you better uh, how you can implement those ideas to reality. Do you understand? So the brand identity designer will actually focus more when it comes to the psychological aspect of a brand and all those things. And which is our responsibility to that we should make sure that the client that we are serving and their product has to connect emotionally with their target audience. Until then, graphic design is just a tool, and then you are putting it in there to make it nice.
So I would like to highlight a point over here that just a logo and few poster are not even the 2% of design aspect, like you said.
Mm, mm. Yeah, I mean those are just anybody can design a logo. Yeah, look at the logo that Apple has. If you want to design that logo, which will it take you 5 minutes for you to design that logo? No.
Not at all.
It will take you. But then what I'm trying to tell you is that the person who designed that logo actually know what he or she want to
Mm.
present,
Mm.
and he or she understands the reason why Apple actually get the name Apple,
Mm.
and then we want to interpret that kind of idea Apple into into creating the logo, and then the psychological aspect of the whole thing. That's what the person what do you call it implemented. And when you take Nike today is one of the most important and most trusted brand.
Mm.
You see, and that logo it's just like a mark. It's just like a check.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
by it, when you try to understand the psychological aspect, or I mean the detail of the whole that particular logo, it means that there's a lot of things in there.
Mm.
And the ordinary people that don't have the graphic design, I mean the artistic eye, will not see that. What they are seeing is just the shoes sign of whatever it is that's over there. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to say. So designing the logo. That's why people today they will rely on the this online tools to create the logo for them. But the question is, you see that these big companies like I keep mentioning Apple, I'll keep mentioning
Nike.
quite exactly like a lot of these bigger game players in the game because their logo actually they not just design the logo and then that one logo stand up to down.
Mm,
When you see Apple first logo, you realize that no, the concept and then all those things were very cliche and a lot of things going out there,
mm, mm,
which actually does not resonate well with the customers. So that is how the professional came in and then interpreted what they want to do in the best way. The same way when you take BMW or the Benz that you see today, their logo, it's the same thing. It changes over the years until they are comfortable with what they have today. And I believe that years to come, they're going to change again.
mm,
And
mm,
changing it, you realize that they are not changing the whole thing entirely.
mm,
They're just modifying what they have and then making it more presentable.
mm.
But the main concept behind that is still there.
Yeah.
Do you see that? Mm. So that's what I would say. And it's very important for us to also consider that
Yeah.
on whatever we do. We have to understand that changing the designs or whatever thing that we are doing doesn't mean that we are taking changing entirely from what we are doing. You should understand that that is why the rebranding is also there.
Mm,
And then when you brand your business, there's going to be a point in time that you have to rebrand.
mm,
I mean, the technology is evolving and the world is changing. The taste of the customers are also changing.
mm,
So in this, what you have to do as a provider, I mean the service provider and all those things, people that serve the customers, you just have to stay relevant and
mm.
then make sure that you stay with them, stay still connected with them over the years. That's how I see this whole thing.
Yeah.
And I believe this actually is actually going to help us if you understand that way. Yeah.
True. I completely agree to that. And as you are educating the young listeners
Mm.
about designing, graphic designing, branding, uh, what I can understand right now is that people may feel overwhelmed to young entrepreneurs or maybe business owners who are into the business, but they haven't established their brand identity. They don't have a particular language or a structure of proper communication. So it can be daunting and it can be overwhelming for them. So can you help us navigating small steps so that people can take some kind of intervention from their end or how to approach the situation and then reestablish their language when it comes to the designing part of it?
Okay. Um, if you are actually a young business out there and you don't have a brand identity or you don't have an identity, you should understand that the chances for you to survive is very slim.
Mm,
And sooner or later, you're going to run out of business. Not because you don't have the financial aspect of it to run a business, but you should understand that customers have choices, and their choices changes. Why? Because what you are serving, what you are producing today, somebody is also doing the same thing. And how is that person doing it? The person is doing it differently. The person is implementing what we are talking about today, and that way he has upper hand over you, and the competition is no longer yours, and you are going to stay out of business sooner or later. So for you to understand that it is important for you to for your business to grow, you have to make sure that you differentiate your business from others. How do you do that? Like we mentioned earlier, you have to consider all the elements of the brand identity, and and you have to make sure that you have professionals that are going to implement these things and then set you apart from the market, from your competition in the market. You see, so these things are very important. You you can't just say that you have a logo or you have an identity, or I mean, you have a logo. If I say identity, actually, I'm kind of misleading you over here, because the identity is the whole thing.
Yeah.
So just a logo it's not a full package.
Yeah, it's
You
like
see,
human being also. For you, promise is just a name, but you as a human has a whole identity, a personality.
exactly,
For me, puja is just a name.
exactly, exactly.
What about my
So you see,
identity, my characters?
exactly. You see, this whole thing called the identity, it starts not today. It started very long time ago. And you see, those days, I mean, in the first age and the middle age and the modern aspect of the whole thing is that those days they really don't care about I mean, the psychology behind the name or the symbols that they're going to give their businesses or their homes and all those things. All they care about is to just differentiate. You see that? You see, it becomes very easy for you to identify this person with a particular strip
Hmm.
of an identity that is coming from this particular family. It's been there a very long time. But when you come today, the population is growing. They are growing. And the name Puja, I believe that you are not the only one that has that name. But the only
Definitely.
thing that yeah, the only thing that is actually going to set you apart from those people is your character, is the
Hmm.
way you dress, is your appearance, and all those things. Do you see that? So it very become very important that we as a young entrepreneur should also consider that is where we can set our business apart. They are doing exactly the same thing, but how different can you present your product to the customer so that the customer can stay with you, and then for you to also win the heart of the potential customers. It's very important. So when you do that, it becomes very easy for the customers to recognize what
Hmm.
you are doing. Yes. When it becomes very easy like that, what I mean is that when you go to shopping, there are a lot of branding packages and all those in the product and all those in there. But the particular one you are looking for, if you don't find it, it becomes very difficult for you to try any other product. Even with similar the same product with different company, it becomes very difficult for you to do that. Why? Because the trust that you have, the way that particular company build its brand, it resonates well with you. You know that when you are using it, you don't have to think about any other things. When that happens, the credibility of your business and your customers trusting you, like we mentioned earlier, becomes very, very important and become very, very easier in your side. That's what I see. So, as a young entrepreneur, you understand that the emotional connection to our customers is also key. You see that we have to understand that even though we are serving them with a particular product or service, we should also understand that they are human beings,
Hmm.
and then whatever that we give them should be something that we can use ourselves and we can boast of ourselves. Do you see that? I mean,
Hmm.
you can serve me something that you actually don't use, and you don't have the courage to use yourself. It becomes very, very uh, disturbing. I mean, if you don't experience your product, it becomes very difficult to explain what your product does to
Hmm.
customers and all those things. Yeah, so it's very important for us to consider that. Yes.
So, thank you so much, Promise, for speaking to us and shedding the light on this particular issue in the series of social entrepreneurship, because we are trying to build up a better future, and it is really important that we have that social connect when it comes as a brand, as an identity. And I wish the people who are listening today and watching will get the answers that they are looking for, how they can present themselves in the best of the capacity. And
Mm,
people who think that they are in need of such services can contact you or some other
mm,
professionals, but they also need to understand why it is important. So thank you
yes.
for doing that. um,
Yes.
is there anything else that you would like to share with us?
I just want to say that you see everything we talk about today, uh, somebody out there might have a better version of it. Do you see that? Yes. But either way, we are all trying to uh, throw more light on the problems that we have today, just like you mentioned. And you have to understand that you have to understand that weak brand identity can actually hinder your business growth.
Yeah.
And if you don't realize that earlier, it becomes very difficult for you to stay relevant in the business. And sooner or later, you're going to run out of business. We customers, I see myself as a customer because I also buy product. We want something that we want something that resonates well with us. We want
Mm.
something that is connected emotionally with us. We want something that we can use and then we won't have any doubts about.
Mm.
So whatever solution that we are providing today, we should understand that um, staying relevant is important, and
Yeah.
taking identity is also important. Just like we consider other aspects of business, you see. Yes. So that's what I have to say today. And thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much for coming to the podcast and sharing your time with us. That's all I
Yeah.
have to say to you. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Promise, for this lovely conversation.
Thank
And
you.
see you later. Bye.
Bye.